Friends, welcome. Welcome to Big Business with Corporate Groups, your last session before lunch. It's us standing between you and baking in the sun while you eat. It's a strange combination. Excited to take you through this. I have a couple guests here with me today as well. We're going to try and keep this interesting and moving. I'm Joe Martin. I'm the founder of UpLevel Tourism. And I brought two amazing tours here with me to talk a little bit about this corporate group stuff that you've been hearing so much about. We keep hearing corporate groups the past couple of years. We keep hearing it come up. And so I want to first introduce Alyssa from Bites of Boston. Alyssa, if you can give us a little bit of who you are, what you do, give me the how long you've been doing this. Give me a little intro, please.
Sure, so, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Got it?
Hi.
Is it working?
I don't know.
Okay, so my name is Alyssa Schoenfeld. I'm the founder of Bites of Boston Food Tours in Boston, Massachusetts. I've been operating tours. We started in Boston's South End neighborhood, if you're familiar with Boston or not to be confused with South Boston or Southie. It's an entirely separate neighborhood. We started that in 2011, so this is year number 13 over there. And we also have tours in downtown Boston, iconic Boston dishes, and the history behind how they became closely associated with Boston. And also a Chinatown tour that we're running now as well. So that's.
Give me craziest thing. What's the craziest thing you've seen?
Okay.
Let's keep it short. Craziest thing.
Okay, so I will keep this short. So beginning early years of the tour, I was doing everything. So if you came on the tour more than once, 100% chance, I would be your tour guide again. So that used to kind of come up at the end of tours. People would ask, oh, are you the owner of the company? Yes, this and that. Would we get you again? Yes, 100% chance of getting me again. So I had a gentleman on a tour one time, and I just remember because he and his guests that he brought were very cozy and throughout the whole tour. And then that question came up at the end, and later that week I got an email from this person saying, hey, I didn't realize that you were the only employee at the company. I'm actually going to be on your tour again this coming weekend with a different guest, and I would appreciate your discretion. And he showed up with a different guest. It was equally cozy, and never did we talk about it.
This is why we love experiences. Thank you for accommodating us.
Stay tuned for my book.
I really appreciate you doing that for me again. Thank you so much. Stephen Chester, please tell us a little bit about who you are, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Chester in Atlanta, Georgia. So my business partner and I, Mayor McCray, who's in the back of the room, founded ATL Cruisers in 2010. So we've been operating for 14 years. On that side of the house, we operate e-bikes, segways, gym car tours, so kind of more small group experiences. Then we also now have another side called Peachtree Trolley Tours, where we do 90-minute trolley rides, half-day minibus excursions through the city of Atlanta. So 14 years that we've been operating.
Stephen, any crazy stories on your side?
So I thought I had a good one, but that one actually is repeating. But kind of on the same path, but just a different experience. We do one stop at the Martin Luther King National Park, most of our experiences. And this guy came, his wife booked the tour, definitely did not want to be on the tour with her at all. So we get to the King Center, they had already been talking through the car, he's obnoxious, all the other guests were upset with him. So everybody's supposed to spend about 10-15 minutes there. 10-15 minutes go past, he's there, but she's not there. She never came back. So he ended up having to stay there. We kept on going on. I'm not sure if they're married anymore, but yeah, so not so cozy on that side.
Something we took a trip to Boston after that. All right, so why these two are here today is they have some slightly different views. For Alyssa, over the past couple of years, she started to make corporate groups more of a priority in the business. Stephen Chester, it's been something that's been on the mind. It's been something there for you. And Stephen, I guess I want to start with this idea of what's prevented you from taking action of going after more corporate groups?
Yeah, I think probably more just sitting down and actually streamlining the process. I think kind of like the public side, you can go direct, or I consider the OTA side. So we've been more so, how can we not spend but still get corporate bookings. So using more of our connections and partnerships with DMOs, DMCs, meeting planners, things where we don't have to do a spin, but they're out there promoting for us. So it's not as active, it's more of a passive type of approach for it, but looking forward to hearing why we should kind of switch up the game.
Yeah, and I want to start with that little bit of the why. And so I'm gonna start with a bold statement here, friends. I think tour operators spend too much time focused on tourists. The way I look at it, if we compare the idea of being a business, and we want to look at where is the most valuable place for you to invest your time as a business owner, what's going to have the best return on your money and your time as a business owner, and we start breaking that down, we start looking at who are we investing in. When we get to these, that we're looking at someone who doesn't live in the area, never comes back. It's hard to refer someone else. It just gets difficult to generate the revenue off that, and it's something that we've seen creates this just a little bit of a roller coaster that you feel sometimes with this, the sporadicness, the chasing, we gotta fill this tour kind of feeling. But when we look at these behind the scenes, what we're really looking at is the difference between investing in a $400 or do we invest in something like $9,000? And we start to look at the money you can accrue from corporate groups, we can invest more towards getting them because we have that higher value that we're going to get when we receive them. We can increase our cost of acquisition per customer because we're not just trying to chase down a few tickets at a lower price that then the OTA is even cutting in their margin from already, and we're not making enough. And I'm just tired of tour operators not making enough. And over the past 8.5 years, I've been a student of workplace culture and productivity. I've been interviewing companies. I wrote a book about it back in 2019. And I started piecing stuff together with the research work I was doing on that side, and then also with all the friends that I have in the tourism industry. And so when you look at these numbers, they may not look like much, but this is what's happening post-COVID. Post-COVID, what we're seeing is that more teams are distributed. Companies need more reasons to get their teams together for fun things to do. Companies are finding out they need to invest in culture to keep the people they have. They need more things to do, and there's a big problem, and when it comes down to supply and demand, friends, there's not enough cool things for companies to do with their teams. And my fear is that it's because tour operators are so focused on tourists when we have an entire local market hanging out in your backyard that wants to do the cool thing you offer. We just need to be able to put that out for them. And so I'd love to see a show of hands. Who's already working with corporate groups? Put your hands up. Fantastic. Who has, let's keep those hands up, who has more than 5% of the revenue in corporate groups? More than 5? Who's got more than 15% of revenue? Got a couple in the back, more than 25% in corporate group revenue. More than 50% in corporate group revenue. 55, 52% maybe? Okay, I want to see some of those numbers go up a little higher. One of the tours that we worked with in Chicago Pizza Tours, fantastic individual. We've seen him go from 5% of his revenue in corporate groups to today he is over 60% of his revenue comes in from corporate groups. And that leads to more predictable days, more stable revenue for him. I want to see this for you too. I want this for every tour operator in this room. There's more than enough that all these companies can do with everything great you offer. What we're doing on our side, we're continuing research, and we're putting a lot of this together inside of a report on private bookings. We're interviewing tour operators. We're also interviewing companies to help you answer some of the questions of who do I talk to with the corporate group? How many times can I expect a corporate group to book with me? How much will a corporate group, are they willing to spend with me per time that they come out? So we're going to be putting that together, a report. If you go on that page, you can sign up. We're going to send it to you as soon as it's available. Today, what I want to go through though, with these two wonderful speakers we have, we're going to talk a little bit about ticket prices. I want to get into about where to find corporate groups and get you started on that road today. We're going to talk about what needs to change in the business to start accommodating corporate groups. And then we're going to have some questions here. But I want to turn it back over to Alyssa and Steven here. And Alyssa, I want to know, what did you charge before for your average ticket price for corporate groups?
Before UpLevel?
Before you start focusing on it.
Yeah, it was roughly, the average was a little over $100 a person, plus tax and gratuity.
Okay. Steven Chester, average ticket price on your side for a corporate group, private group?
Probably 40, 50, maybe up to 95, just depending on what the group was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alyssa, give Give me the post. What are we looking at average ticket price now for a corporate group now that you've focused on them?
Our lowest is 125 a person, and the average, we're looking at more like 150 most of the time per person.
So we've gone from 150, we're up to 150 on that. How did we get there, Alyssa?
Letting go of I guess, pricing strategies that were just something that I'll actually say, I think one of the big things that I had to do was let go of pricing the experiences based on hard costs. So there's a lot more that goes into these experiences than in our case, the hard cost of food. And a lot of times when a lot of food tour operators started up, it's kind of these are your food costs and you base your ticket prices around that, which is still, I think, definitely in play for more of the public everyday tours. But when you start taking larger groups to places, you're no longer there in the middle of the afternoon when the restaurants are slow, they want to go after work and in the evening. A lot of that just comes by nature with a premium to it and sort of being able to wrap our head around the fact that what we were offering was a lot more valuable than what we were giving it credit for. It was really kind of as simple as that.
So then I want to touch on this about what you're able to do as a business, because now by raising those prices, as I'd asked you before about the most amount of money you had charged per ticket previously. Do you remember what that number was?
Before, it was about a 125 was kind of the high point.
Yeah. I think we got it up somewhere around 150. I think we had 150 at one point.
Yeah.
And then Stephen Chester, when you and I talked, you said you were able to get it up to 175 a ticket at one point. How did you get it up that high? How do you go from an average of 95 a ticket to them being able to charge this higher price of 175?
I think just understanding what their budgets were, that we never really asked what are they actually looking to budget for the opportunities. We were looking for, all right, what is our opportunity cost? If we have to shut down a tour, we were just using our public rate, times it by however long we would be out. But now we realized that we could do value add. We could add a cooler with adult beverages and some other things to kind of bump that ticket number up. So just kind of finding little things like that to help increase the value proposition for them.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into value here in a second. We got some fun stuff there. Alyssa, we've now raised how much you were able to charge for a single ticket, and we were able to get you from $150 up to $230 for a single food tour ticket.
Yes, that is correct.
That's a 53% increase.
Yeah.
And again, I come back down to how we're doing this. I want to dig into this a little bit here. And I'm going to keep making bold statements, friends. This bold statement, I don't want you to sell your tour to corporate groups. Don't sell your tour to corporate groups. I need you to sell a corporate group experience. I need it to be something you've created for them. I need you to have respect for what they want. Speak to them on their terms. Meet the customer where they are. And that's what we want to do with some of these corporate groups. And like Alyssa was just talking about, a lot of times what we see when we're pricing stuff is we kind of map out all the costs, and we have overhead in here, and we have payroll in here, and all the stuff we have to pay for, and we look and we say, okay, we can do about $2,500 for this tour experience because that's about a 30% increase from what we charge per tour. And this, Alyssa, this is what we're talking about you had to let go of, was keeping it anchored to that spot?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right, we move past it. So what we did with Alyssa was we wanted to look at this idea of not building from the company out. It's not about what are the 100 things you can do for someone, it's what are the 10 things they want. I want to stop taking everything you can do and trying to say, hey, here's the value that we can offer. And when we talk about value for corporate, it's value that changes. Value for a tourist is visiting multiple locations. Inside that tour description, you're going to talk about the great places I'm going to get to go, the iconic places I get to visit. Oh my God, it's amazing. But for corporate, that's not the same value. The value isn't you're going to 5 different places. The value is I'm going to help your team get together for something fun in this city, and you're not going to have to lift a finger to do it. The value with corporate is we're going to put all this together for you in one price, so you can submit one bill to accounting. It's a higher component of value, and that's what we want to chase. And a lot of times we see companies make this mistake of building from the company out instead of building from the customer in. What does the customer want? What are those 10 things that we need to say that they're going to say, you're going to give it to me all in one bill? You're going to coordinate with my team for any food allergies that they have? You're going to pick us up at our location? Awesome. Yeah, we're in. That's what we need. And the interesting thing, when you look at this graphic, you can see how much shorter the journey is when you build from the customer in. as opposed to how much more work companies do trying to build from the company out. And when you start to look at things this way, you start to look at value and what you're really providing with that, oh, you have so much value, friends. You have so many other things to account for outside of just the cost of the tour. You have all of the experience. You are experts on your local community. That is so incredibly valuable. It is more valuable than you know. And I'm hoping you're going to take that away from today and really walk away from here feeling good about what you're sitting on, because I think you are at a prime location right now. One of the things I want to clear up when we talk about pricing, we talk about some of that, I see a lot of tours make this mistake of thinking custom equals value. And you look at their private tour page, or a corporate groups page if they have one, and it says, we'll customize. We'll customize anything for you. Hit us up, I'll customize it. What do you want to do? Pick it up, sit on the phone with me for 20 minutes, and let's figure this out. No one wants to do that. No one wants that. We want the value meal equivalent. We need to make it so easy for them to point and say, this is the one I want. So watch out when you're pushing custom as value. Having it set up, having that one bill to accounting, picking up your office, those things are high value. Saying I'm going to customize every portion of this for you may not necessarily be the value that they're looking for. And to help us with the pricing, to help raise some of this, we have to look at this concept called price anchoring. Price anchoring. What happens with experiences? Friends, no one knows what you do. I'm sorry, your family, sometimes even your spouses, probably don't even know exactly what you do. Neither does the customer. So when you give them something and you say, here's what you're going to have, that offer floats in the middle of nowhere. They have nothing to compare it to. And what we want to do with sales is about trying to help someone make a decision. We're not just trying to force something down their throat and say, buy this. We're trying to help them realize why this thing is the answer to the problem that they've had. And so I want you to look at this idea of using something called price anchoring so you can help them make a decision better. And you've seen it before, you've seen it everywhere. It's a simple 3-tiered system. I need your small price. I need the price that you're offering. This is probably the same price as your public tours. Alyssa, that's kind of what we lined up with that? Yes, yeah. Keep it about the same price as the public tour. Then I need your medium package. Medium package would be a little bit higher here. We're going to have 2.2 times the cost. And now someone can start to see the difference. Some people want to spend more. Let's let them. Please. On top of that, then I need one more level here. And that third level is your decoy price. I don't expect anyone to book this top level. You know what that top level is meant to do. You already know what makes the middle one look better. That's it. It's psychology, it's perception. McDonald's has been doing it to you for years. Let's just use that too. Look at your tours this way. Start breaking down, what could you do with these? How could you start to implement this, that when you're talking to corporate, when you're talking to private, give them these 3 options. Give them these levels that they can start to choose from and have a conversation with you, instead of saying, you can do anything, anywhere, at any time. No. Real close. I brushed. Good thing. I want to turn this back over to Stephen and Alyssa. So Alyssa, I want to know, what have you had to change about the way you deliver your service to accommodate corporate? We talked about prices, we've increased prices here. What had to happen in the business itself to now say, hey, we're going to do more corporate?
A lot of things, actually, because pretty much the whole corporate, we've been fielding and had a lot of corporate tours for quite a while now, but the whole process kind of lived in my head and in folders in my email. So to pass that, to really kind of have a process, we needed to start one, and then part of my goal was to pass that off to someone on my team, because just fielding constantly the incoming inquiries, a lot of which never come to fruition, but it can take up an extremely enormous amount of your day. It was just a really great thing to pass off. So we started working together October, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so we've implemented Active Campaign, which has now become, we're sending out emails regularly. Randy helps us with that. So we have a regular email marketing, but it's also all tied into our bookings, public bookings too, coming in from Fair Harbor on that side of things, down to having our entire corporate tour pipeline set up. It comes in immediately, creates a deal in Active Campaign, and then we have customize that process to basically take Rachel, my employee, through every step of that process that needs to happen, from collecting dietary restrictions to deposits to final payments to follow up after the tour. And then we're not there yet because we haven't spanned that amount of time. But our next automation will follow up with these groups around the same time next year to kind of remind them, hey, are you doing another outing? Would you like to book with us again? Get on our schedule before dates fill up. So it's kind of all come full circle with an automation process around it.
I do love the repeat business as well. They're coming back. They're still here. My favorite thing is if you get a corporate group on the phone and you talk to them and they say, no, we're not interested, that only means no right now. They're not going anywhere. They still live here. They may come back again next year. They can come back in 6 months. If they say no, tell them, great, save up for this awesome experience and come back to us when you're ready, because this thing is amazing. Let's keep them. They're not going anywhere. And we want to get a company and work through that company. Alyssa, I think you were just telling me there's a company, a pharmaceutical company, that now is how many employees?
Yeah, we have a lot of pharma and biotech in Boston. In fact, that was my previous career before I completely did a 180. But we have Novartis right now is a big one in Boston, and they have one organizer that we've been working with, and I think she's contracted, she has a Novartis email address, but she comes from an outside company to basically organize events for a lot of different groups of employees. So she just keeps booking them with us. Because it's different people every time, she's getting great feedback, so it's, now I hear from Robin, we put Robin back in the calendar, and it's just kind of one of those things that repeats. And the same thing with Deloitte. Deloitte has a huge presence in Boston, and they are just hiring all the time. They get 80 to 100 summer interns every year, so they've been bringing those on a lot of our corporate tours, and then they also use our tours as a way to wine and dine new hires that they're hoping to convince to move to Boston to work with them. And not only does that work, but one of those people is now one of my tour guides in Chinatown. So she came, took a job in Boston with Deloitte, had been on the tour, and approached us immediately and said, I loved it so much, I want to do this while I'm running here too. So it's a lot of fun.
Stephen Chester, I want to feedback into this. We heard Alyssa talk about the things she's changed, the CRM, email automations, getting some of that stuff in place. None of it was really experience specific. No, it didn't sound like anything on the experience. What do you think you need to change on your side in order to start accommodating more corporate groups? Is there much you need to do, I guess?
I think that you mentioned it earlier, we personally feel like we have a great tour that can be experienced by anybody, with
Damn right
public
you do.
or private.
Damn right you do.
Of course. So on our public tours, we get a lot of people who are locals, who have family come to visit, and they bring back their corporate groups, and we actually just give them the same experience that they did on the public tour. Again, we may add a little bit of an additional incentive on top of that. So we probably can do a lot more just understanding, what they're looking for from a team building perspective. We do a lot of karaoke on our trolleys just to let them have more camaraderie. But I always ask, who's the boss? I know we always get the meeting planner, the administrative assistant. Who's your boss? What are they looking for in this event? And that's what we really focus on when they do come on the tours. So I think there's a lot more experiential things that we probably can add on to it. But every market's different. Every business that's coming in is going to be different. So I think we try to have a little bit of flexibility in there, which may or may not give you the 3 tiers. We may have 5 or 6. So we have to scale that back down.
Just to add to that too, on the experience side of things, it's kind of like the kids say now, say less. So we say a lot less on corporate tours. So a lot of the history and cultural and historical information that people who are signing up for our tours because they chose that activity for themselves in their free time when they're visiting Boston is not as appealing or desirable to people who are coming on a company event that was organized by one organizer. They're just expected to be there at 5 or 6 o'clock after a full day of meetings where people have been kind of talking at them. So they don't really want us to be talking at them for the entire activity too. And letting go of that was also kind of difficult because at first it's sort of counterintuitive. You're like, I'm removing all this value that I worked so hard to add to my experiences, but it's not valuable if it's not valuable to them. So if they want the time to talk amongst themselves, mingle, enjoy their cocktails, it really is a situation of less is more.
Alyssa, you are help fueling one of the most impactful sessions here at Arival. This is fantastic information. Thank you. One of the things we know is kind of top of mind for everyone is this question of just where. Where do we find them? Point us in the right direction. Tell us what the hell we need to do so we can go get started with these corporate groups. This is the slide you've been waiting for, friends. Let's talk through these real quick. One of the easiest, fastest way to get some more new groups, go to past groups. Have you asked past groups for referrals? Did you say, who else do you know that would love this amazing experience we have? Go talk to them, follow up with them. They are your easiest, fastest source of corporate and private group revenue. Next from that, writing and sharing blogs about things to do for corporate. I know that some people who are already in here just after a session about SEO, and Brendan from Propelling is fantastic. However, in this case, when you write those blogs, I don't care if they rank. I don't care if it shows up on Google for the #1 result, because you're going to get it in front of people by sending it out through email. You're going to post that article on your LinkedIn. You're going to send that article out to friends that you know. You're going to use that article as a piece of sales collateral. Write that article about the things to do for corporate groups in your area so you can start to own some of that conversation. I want you to reach out to blogs. Who's already ranking when you search top 10 things to do in your area? Reach out. Say, hey, can I get on your list? Can you add me to your top 10? Can you make it a top 11? Is that cool? Because we're really good and we do awesome stuff with corporate groups. Get in there. And some of them are going to charge you. Some of them are going to say, hey, pay. That's fine. It's an investment. Pay for it. Targeted outreach through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Go after HR managers. Go after director of sales. Start getting some messages out there. Don't sit around saying, I don't know who to target. Go start talking to someone. Go figure it out. And let's find out which ones are working, which ones aren't. Test the system like it's a raptor fence. Let's find the weaknesses in it. And then finally, I need you to have a corporate group page on your website. I need you to have a conversation directly with corporate groups. Please have that page on your website that is only for them, not a private and corporate groups page, not a private and birthday parties and bachelorette parties and church groups and student groups and corporate events. No, just the corporate events. Just talk to that corporate event person on that page and then send that page out to everyone you know. Everyone, and say, we do this now. You do these steps, you come back next year, you're going to high-five myself, you're going to high-five Alyssa, you're going to high-five Steven. Guarantee it. Friends, I want to let you, we're going to save some time at the end for questions. I also want to make sure anyone who wants to leave and go into a shady spot at lunch has the opportunity to do so as well. Some quick takeaways here that we kind of talked about that you get from this session. First taker, yes, corporate needs. Don't sell corporate groups a tour. Make sure you're creating packages specifically for corporate groups. Tailoring your offerings, careful there. Custom doesn't always equal value. I love what Alyssa said at the end about how even talking during the corporate group experience isn't the value they're looking for. Align that value. You have 100 things you can do. Find the 10 they want. Marketing to corporate, we just looked at some of those outreach strategies. You got some quick wins. Go to those past groups. Past groups. Past groups. Past groups. Memorable experiences. Guys, you're doing fantastic. You're already here. Here you go. Give yourselves a round of applause here, please. Please. Thank you. Yeah. You're here. You're improving. You already offer great experiences, and you can afford to be here. Congratulations. Finally, this idea of long-term relationships. Alyssa talked about the CRM, having those systems set up. This is the last point. This is where you want to take the picture. Having those automations in place. Start to leverage. You're hearing a lot here about AI and systems. Don't wait. Get this stuff in place. And when you start to build out for corporate, you're building out to have this stream in your business forever. This will always be there. Open up this revenue stream and happen now. Corporate groups are waiting. They're on the line. Something like that. All right. We have this room till 12:45 if you want to stick around for any questions. Come on up front if you do. Maybe you'll hear a little better. Anyone else wants to go get that shady spot at lunch, you can go take off. And then I'm going to leave this screen up for anyone else who wasn't able to scan that QR code if you want to grab it on your way out. I'll start with questions. I saw Jonathan over here.
Yeah, so great job, both of y'all.
Let me give you the mic.
Appreciate it. So great job. I really appreciated y'all's perspectives. I do party bike tours in Houston, and we have multiple bikes, but I don't stack the bikes to take larger groups. Larger groups have reached out, 50, 60 people, and I'm just like, we can't accommodate you guys because of the way we set up. We do one bike at a time and we stagger our takeoff times. How do I I know a lot of corporate groups have bigger teams. You know, we can only ride 13 to 15 people at a time. So how do I deal with that capacity constraint?
You're the bike guy.
I got that idea on this one too.
Yeah. So for us, we have a similar situation. We have a 5-passenger e-car on one of our experiences. What we have done on things like that, Atlanta is a very open city when it comes to partnerships with other operators. So we actually have partnered with a bike tour company on many situations when we have our Segway tours that go out. So instead of losing it, partner with other potential partners in the market that can help you grow in that capacity and be able to deliver on the larger group sizes versus them going to a competitor. So that's kind of one of the things that we do. And if possible, we'll try to stagger it where maybe they go to a dinner or a happy hour while we take one group out. Then we flip-flop it. That group that went out on the car at first now goes to the happy hour. The first group then comes from the happy hour, hops on the bike, or the car. So just trying to make it work in certain capacities if you have the time. But I think partnering with some other local partners might be the easiest way.
Oh, that's so much work in Chester. Here's my, I like mine. Just serve 13 to 15 person groups. Just cap it there. Increase the price. It's an exclusive experience. You don't necessarily need to accommodate the 100, 150 person giant groups. There are plenty of companies that have 15 people that just want to get together, or even then working through something like Alyssa was talking about with the pharmaceutical company. Have that company sending you 15 people at a time. Hey, we do great small group tours for this amount. Stay in your comfort zone. So I don't want to see you push yourself too far out to accommodate the corporate groups. And don't be afraid to say, we do groups of up to 15. And we do an awesome job, and you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
So.
Our average group size for corporate is 15 to 20. So that's more the norm. And then we're just starting now to kind of look at what we can do for much larger groups. And I've taken a few of those on, but I think there's no reason starting with that, especially if you can get some volume going with it. It's a great idea.
Hi, I'm Shannon from QS Food Tours. I'm actually an UpLevel client as well, but I'm asking this question because I'm curious. I actually didn't ask this while I was working with you. Corporate page. You talk about not, customization not being a thing, and I'm not saying I would put prices up on a corporate page, but do you recommend having the small, medium, and large options for them to view? Because you were saying like the one-click solution, like how,
Yeah, keep that for a second.
Okay.
Want to go back and forth? I can use this one? Yeah. So the question is about whether or not we put pricing on the page.
No, not pricing. Whether or not you give the small, medium, the actual, like what the tour would look like. Because you said customization is not the thing, so they're more looking for like an option to buy.
So we have to look at intent when we talk about sales process. And all I need your corporate group page to do is get someone on the phone with you. I don't need it to sell them. I don't need that page to say, here is everything that's included. Here's our giant list of everything that we have that you're going to get at each time. That comes later. That's a later conversation. All I need on that corporate group page is for them to have enough interest to say, I want to learn more. That even in the conversion process, curiosity is a thing that we have. Don't satiate it. Don't answer other questions.
Oh, okay.
So, can that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Question right in front.
I notice everyone's talking about your services and how great those are. Do you think you could tell us about what you do for people?
We help you set up the systems and processes. So you have that sales process, you have the CRM, so you can book more corporate groups.
Will you do all the work for me?
We do the work for you. Check myself out. I'll be wearing you've probably seen the Book More Corporate Group shirts. Randy's over here as well. Find us and track us down. We got a couple more questions. How are we doing on time? We'll come back to you guys. Roman, hit it.
Hey, Roman from UpLevel Tours. Hey, do you encourage bidding on corporate keywords?
If we're going to invest in marketing, yes. If we're going to put dollars towards search engine optimization, trying to fight against Viator and TripAdvisor, yeah. Because we can spend a little more because we're going to get more for return. We're getting that bigger cost. It's not just that $100 ticket. So yeah, I'm for it. And we're testing out strategies with that now, as well as testing out some strategies on TikTok and seeing how we can start to use TikTok to actually get more corporate groups in as well. Share this with your boss.
I guess the follow-up to that would be, what other methods of reaching out to corporations?
I put the 5 up on screen. So we saw those are some of those quick wins. I'll start with that. If you need more, I'm not going to say shape that curiosity. I'll come back.
Brian from LA Food Tours. Our name is generic, but our experiences are not. My former boss from, she's not here this year, but Stacy Giovino from, that's now Enjoy Carmel. Yeah. Stacy, okay. I just sent her your link, by the way, for this QR. She told me, certain industries for corporate have caps, and I walked a little bit late, so sorry if you can answer this question, but they have a cap on how much they can spend per employee when they're coming to XYZ, right? So I just booked Ford Motor Company coming next June through a DMC, so I'm starting to get more of these. I know entering into this DMC world, I'm a little nervous, but I'm just curious if there are certain industries, like she told me, certainly people in the medical world, like hospitals or medical only they cap their customer or their employee, their maximum spend is used to be 125. If you're a nurse or whatever, it's 125 per or whatever. So just any specific industries that are there certain caps in certain industries, and does that affect how you market your numbers for group sales?
Yeah, I say don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I think it's really all over the place, but the one thing with DMCs to keep in mind is that if a company is having a big convention and they hire a DMC, there's usually an overall budget that's given to them that then has to account for food, accommodations, activities, anything that's going to happen as part of that conference, and also what the DMC gets paid to do all of that work. So you kind of have another middleman in there, and then it's typically the DMC is like, okay, we're going to spend this much on the activity because we need, this much for food. So that starts getting into a whole kind of different pricing strategy. But then it really just depends on the company and what kind of event it is. If it's a big end of year event, they might have a bigger budget for it, whereas if it's a quick summer outing, the budget might be lower. So it kind of depends. But we rarely have pricing issues with companies. We present them with the pricing. They have tons of other questions, but pricing is not usually one of them. So their budgets are pretty good. We ask for that on the inquiries. A lot of people don't fill out what their budget is, but recently we had an inquiry come in for 60 people with a budget of $400 per person.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's definitely out there where these companies have big budgets to spend, and if they have it, they usually want to spend it. So.
I want to get your thinking on that just a little bit smaller. Don't worry about industry and trends. You need 10 corporate groups. We need 15. We need 15 customers who work at companies. Don't worry about which industry and where should I go. We just want 15 companies. That's it. Way smaller. We don't need to worry about thousands.
Or company size, don't worry about it.
No. And especially some of these early steps, some of those initial things, reach out to who you know. Reach out to some of those known contacts we can get in.
Yeah, thank you. I'm John O'Sullivan from Depot Adventures in Melbourne, Australia, walking tour company. Thank you for the most useful session I've had so far.
Hey!
I'd love to hear you guys talk. This has been so useful in learning how to get people into our sales funnel. Can you speak to what the funnel looks like then? Because we know that corporates, they have a lot of different needs with payment terms, cancellations, attrition. How many meetings are you having? At what point are you getting to commit? I'd love to hear you guys talk about that.
We're out of time on this one. We're actually up against time. It starts back with those 5 starters. Get started there, that's where to find them. And then it's more about understanding who are you actually trying to target. Don't go after a company. Let's pick someone inside that company. Make it Kelly, who's the director of HR. And let's go find out, is she involved in any associations, other networking groups in your area? And you go to just a business networking event and say, hey, I do the coolest corporate experiences here, win people that way. So lots of options once you dig in and you start to understand who you're really trying to target. But friends, I believe we're Steve, please.
I was going to just add a quick point kind of to Roman's question earlier. I think what Joe is doing helps very much get the end result. But some of the things that we do, because we like to be out, so we talked about DMCs. I think if you don't work with local DMCs, destination management companies, they're a great resource for events that are already coming in every organization or every city, county, state has a DMO that's responsible for marketing. Those marketing dollars are going to groups that are coming in. There's probably a convention calendar of all of those groups. That's how you have access. We also are part of Meeting Planners International, so MPI. These are the meeting planners inside of corporations that are looking for these activities and for things for their groups to do. So I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of find the bigger resources. And if anybody's ever heard of Reposit, this is for like Conference Direct, Helms Briscoe. This is a marketplace where they actually send all of their meeting planners, and you can go and get access to everybody that's looking to come into the market that are looking for experiences like you all offer, or maybe some other things. So just a couple other resources.
Can you say that again? Repeat that. Can you repeat that last one?
So Reposit is an online marketplace for meeting planners, tour operators, and they deal with Conference Direct, Helms Briscoe, some of the larger groups that are out there that are like DMCs. But every city probably has a local destination management company that you can partner with, just like you were speaking about with LA. We partner with R5 in Atlanta. But again, probably having a better process for them to get into that funnel, the channel that Joe's doing, I think is where we could actually do a lot better.
Yeah, Alyssa, you mentioned about how one of the biggest advantages was just tightening it up and just not losing the ones that are coming in, and how impactful that part was. So, all right, friends, we got to call it there. Thank you so much for being a part of the most impactful session at Arival.